The rain poured from the gray sky, turning the dry ground into dark, sticky mud. Jack Morgan, a human scavenger from Earth, walked through the burned alien battlefield with a small light on his shoulder. He was not looking for trouble. He was only here to collect broken tech and maybe a few energy cells to sell back home. But what he found was not metal. A low sound reached his ears. Not a machine. A voice. A whisper. Help. Please. Jack turned fast, pulling out his blaster. He pointed it towards the ruined wall where the sound had come from. The battlefield was silent again. Just wind, smoke, and the soft tap of rain. Then, movement. A figure crawled from behind a half-burned transport. At first, Jack thought it was some kind of wounded animal, but as the figure moved closer, he saw skin, not fur. Pale, glowing skin. Chains hung from her wrists, dragging across the ground. It was a woman, an alien woman. Her body was shaking. She collapsed face first, in the mud just a few meters from him. She did not look dangerous. No weapons, no armor, only pieces of torn clothing. Her knees and elbows were bleeding. Her back was marked with deep red scars. Jack slowly walked over. "Hey, can you hear me?" The woman tried to lift her head, but failed. Her voice was weak. Don't send me back. Please." He knelt beside her, keeping one hand near his weapon just in case. "I'm not here to hurt you." She looked up. Her eyes were big, silver, and full of fear. She wasn't older than her early 20s, at least by human guess. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "You're human?" Jack nodded. "Yeah, name's Jack. And you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she tried to rise, but the chains were too tight. Her wrists were bleeding from them. "I'm gonna help," he said softly. "Hold still." Jack pulled out a small tool from his belt and cut the energy cuffs. They sparked and clicked, falling into the mud. The woman stared at her free hands like she couldn't believe it. Then something unexpected happened. She crawled forward and dropped to her knees again, bowing her head low in front of him. "Make me your personal slave, human," she said, tears falling down her cheeks. "I will serve, just don't throw me away." Jack stepped back, shocked. "What? No, you don't have to do that." She didn't move. Her forehead stayed pressed into the mud. "I don't know what else to be." He could see the pain on her face, pain deeper than the cuts and bruises. This woman had been broken, not just physically. Her mind, her will, her identity. All crushed. Jack felt his anger rise, not at her, but at whoever did this. He knelt and gently placed a blanket over her shoulders. She flinched at his touch, expecting pain. "You're not a slave," he said firmly. "Not to me. Not to anyone." She finally raised her head. "Then what am I?" Jack met her eyes. "You're someone who needs help, and I'm staying until you're safe." A small spark lit in her eyes. Not trust, not yet, but maybe hope. Suddenly, a distant buzzing sound echoed across the sky. Jack looked up. A scanner drone, military class. He cursed under his breath. "We've got to move." "Can you walk?" the alien woman tried. She took one step and fell. Jack caught her just in time. "All right," he said, lifting her into his arms. "We do it the hard way." She didn't resist. She rested her head against his chest, whispering, something too soft to hear. With the drone getting closer, Jack ran towards the forest edge, carrying her through the smoke, the mud, and the cold. In that moment, he had no idea who she really was, no idea that saving her would put a price on his own head. But he also didn't care, because something inside him said, this woman didn't just need rescue. She needed someone who would never treat her like property again. And Jack Morgan had just made that promise. Jack had hidden the alien woman deep inside an old wrecked cargo ship buried under vines and dust. The air inside was damp and heavy, but it was safe, at least for now. He'd made a small camp using broken supply crates and patched up solar lights. A small heat lamp buzzed above them, keeping the chill away. The woman sat in the corner, knees drawn to her chest, her arms wrapped around her legs. The blanket Jack had given her was still draped over her shoulders, soaked now with mud and dried blood. Jack opened a food pack, simple protein strips and some fruit gel. He walked over and placed it gently beside her. "You need to eat," he said. "You haven't had anything since I found you." She stared at the food but didn't move. Jack crouched in front of her. "It's safe. I tested it, no poison, not a trick." Still, no response. Her eyes lowered and her fingers clutched the blanket tighter. Then quietly she said, "I'm not allowed." Jack blinked. "What do you mean?" "I'm not allowed to eat," she said in a voice barely above a whisper. "Not unless the master gives a command. If I disobey, I'm punished." Jack's chest tightened. "No one's going to punish you." She looked up slowly, confused. "But you brought me here. That means I belong to you now." "No," Jack said, sitting down in front of her. "You don't belong to anyone." She looked away. "Then, what am I supposed to do?" Jack was silent for a long moment. "You're supposed to live," he said. "Eat, rest, heal. You're free now." That word, free, seemed to shake her more than any weapon. She pulled the blanket closer and whispered, "Free means forgotten. No one wants the ones who are free." Jack stood up, frustrated, not with her, but with what had been done to her mind. He turned back to the pack and pulled out a cup of water and some fruit gel. He sat beside her and ate one strip of fruit himself. "See? I'll eat first. Then, you eat. No order, no punishment." She looked at him carefully, eyes darting to his hands, to his mouth, to his body, watching for signs of anger. After a long, tense silence, she picked up one strip of fruit and placed it in her mouth. She chewed slowly, like her body didn't remember how. Jack smiled but didn't say anything. Then her lips began to tremble. She turned away, holding the blanket over her face, and began to cry, silent, shaking sobs. "I don't know how to be anything else," she whispered. "If I'm not useful, I'm nothing." Jack gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to be useful to be worth saving." She looked at him, her face wet with tears. "Then what do I do?" He replied, "You survive. You start over, and if you need help, I'll be here." For the first time, she didn't flinch when he touched her. Suddenly, a loud ping echoed through the cargo bay. Jack stood instantly, blaster drawn. A blinking red dot appeared on the wall panel, motion detected outside. "They found us," Jack muttered. "Someone's tracking heat signatures." The woman gasped and backed into the corner. "They'll take me back. I don't want to go back." Jack looked at her, then at the door. "No one's taking you, I promise." He moved fast, shutting down the heat lamp and dimming the lights. He handed her a breathing patch. "Stay quiet. Hide behind that panel. I'll handle the rest." She froze. "You would fight for me?" Jack looked her dead in the eyes. "I already am." Then he slipped out of the side hatch and into the shadows of the trees, leaving her stunned. Not by fear, but by something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The night was cold and still. The only sound was the soft rustling of wind through dead leaves. Inside the broken cargo ship, the alien woman sat quietly in the shadows, hugging her knees. Jack had gone outside to check on the movement alert. He had told her to stay hidden. But her heart pounded like war drums. Then she heard voices, not Jack's, rough, loud, laughing, male voices. She froze. Outside, 3 alien raiders stood near the trees. Their armor was scratched and their faces covered in bone masks. One of them held a scanner. It blinked red. "She's close," one of them hissed. "The breeder is here. I smell her." Another grinned. "Worth 20,000 units? Maybe more if she's still whole." The third one added, "Let's take the human too. He'll fetch something in the pits." Lyra, yes, that was her name, though she hadn't used it in years, covered her mouth with her hands. The raiders were from the same clan that sold her, used her, caged her. She thought she had escaped. She was wrong. Jack crouched behind a tree, watching them. He counted their weapons. 2 rifles. One had a shock whip. All looked trained for hunting, not open battle. But Jack had one edge. They didn't know he was watching. He pulled out his knife and blaster. Quiet, fast, and brutal. That's how he'd survive. And how she would live. He whispered, "You're not going back." Inside, Lyra panicked. She looked at the small pipe Jack had told her to crawl into if danger came. She didn't move. Her legs wouldn't obey. Her breath came, fast, shallow, and loud. She remembered the cages, the collars, the commands, and the chains. Be good or be broken, they always said. She pressed her head to her knees and tried to disappear. Then, a sharp cry, a scream, a thud. Gunfire. Then silence. Her heart stopped. Jack burst into the cargo hold seconds later, panting, one sleeve torn, blood on his face, not his. "It's over," he said, crouching beside her. "They're gone." She looked up. "You fought them?" He nodded. "They were going to take you, sell you. I stopped them." Her lips trembled. "You could have left me." Jack shrugged. "Didn't feel right." Her voice cracked. "Why do you keep saving me?" Jack paused, then said slowly, "Because someone should have saved you a long time ago." Tears filled her eyes again. "I wasn't always like this," she whispered. "Before they took me, I was strong. I had dreams. I had a name." Jack looked at her carefully. "Do you remember it?" She hesitated. "Lyra." He smiled. "Then let's start there." That night, by the quiet fire Jack had built outside the wreck, she sat beside him, not touching, not speaking much, but closer than before. After a while, she asked softly, "What happens now?" Jack stared at the sky. "They'll send more. We'll have to move soon. Find a safe zone. I know a smuggler's path through the canyons, hard to track." Lyra nodded slowly. "I'll follow." Jack turned to her. "Not because you belong to me, but because you want to. Okay?" She nodded again. Then after a long pause, she whispered, "If they come again, don't let them take me alive." Jack reached for her hand. She flinched, then allowed it. "They won't take you," he said, firm and calm. "Not while I'm breathing." Somewhere deep in the stars, a transmission was sent. "Unit lost. Target Lyra escaped with human contact. Bounty doubled. Retrieve or terminate. Empress demands silence." But the woman they once called property now had something dangerous. A protector, a name, and a reason to fight. The stars above the canyon were wide and silent. The night sky felt endless, but Lyra couldn't sleep. She sat on a flat rock beside a quiet fire Jack had built, her eyes staring into the flames like they might whisper answers. Her wounds were healing, but the pain inside hadn't left. It felt deeper, like something was broken in her soul. Behind her, Jack adjusted a blanket on the ground. "You should rest," he said softly. Lyra didn't move. "I don't know how to rest," she replied. "Not when I'm not assigned." Jack frowned. "Assigned?" She nodded. "We don't sleep unless the schedule says we're allowed. Otherwise, it's considered wasting energy." Jack sighed. "They really messed you up." Lyra turned toward him slowly. "Then tell me what to do, human. I'm still yours. You saved me. That means you claimed me. So tell me how I must serve you." Her voice didn't carry anger, just empty belief, cold acceptance. Jack stood up and walked toward her. He crouched to meet her eyes. "Lyra, I didn't save you to own you. I saved you because what they did was wrong. But that's all I am, she said. A breeder, a reward, a gift for the highest bidder. That's how I was made. Jack's jaw tightened. You're not a thing, Lyra. Then what am I? She asked, desperate. If I'm not a slave, what do I become now? Jack looked away for a moment, thinking. Then he said gently, a person. Lyra blinked. A person? He nodded. You feel, you cry, you think. That makes you a person. Doesn't matter what they told you. Doesn't matter who built those lies into your head. Lyra's lips trembled. But I don't know how to be anything else. Jack sat beside her, close but not touching. You don't have to know everything now, you just have to choose one small thing at a time. She looked at her hands, once chained, now free. Then tell me, what would a person do? When she owes her life, Jack's voice dropped low. She lives it, for herself. The wind passed through the rocks, whistling like old voices. Lyra stared into the fire, thinking harder than she had in years. Not about orders, not about punishment, about herself. Could she be someone? Then quietly she said, if I can't serve, would you still want me around? Jack turned to her. Yes. Not because you serve me, but because you're you. She looked at him, and for the first time since he found her, her eyes softened. Not with fear, not with duty, but something else. Confusion. Wonder. Maybe even belief. Suddenly, a crack of stone behind them made Jack stand fast, blaster in hand. Don't shoot, came a quiet voice. From the shadows stepped an old alien trader, covered in dust and holding up his hands. I bring word. There's a bounty. A high one. Jack didn't lower his weapon. On who? The trader pointed at Lyra. On the girl. They want her returned to the Empress. Alive, but silent. Lyra froze. They've spread her face across all pirate markets. The trader added. Any who protect her will be hunted. Jack stepped in front of her. Then let them come. The old trader looked at Lyra. Is he worth dying for? Lyra stepped forward, slowly, and for the first time placed a hand on Jack's arm. No, she said quietly, her voice steady. He's worth living for. The hidden base was buried under layers of stone and dust, forgotten by time. Its doors creaked when Jack pushed them open. The cold air inside felt untouched for years. This place, Jack muttered, shining his light across rusted walls. Used to be part of the old research rings. Black labs, illegal science, maybe we can find shelter, supplies. Lyra didn't follow him right away. She stood still at the door, her breathing shallow. Her eyes, wide, distant, locked onto something far older than the room itself. Familiar pain. I've been here before, she whispered. Jack turned. What? She stepped in slowly, each footfall echoing in the silence. I remember this hallway. I was dragged through it. I was cold. I was small. She placed her hand on the wall, fingers trembling. This is where they made me. The hallway led, them deeper underground. Jack stayed close to Lyra, careful not to touch her unless she reached first. When they reached the lower level, the door there slid open with a broken hiss. Inside was a lab, clean, organized, too clean. Shelves of containers lined the walls. Cryo, tanks, gene charts, medical chairs with straps. In the center of the room sat a glass cube, glowing with soft blue light. Inside it was a file. Lyra walked toward it like a ghost. Her fingers hovered above the panel, unsure. Should I open it? She asked. Jack nodded. Only if you want to. She pressed the panel. The cube opened with a soft click. Inside was a thin file with her name. Lyra 278. Class, Biobond Model. Status, conditioned. Her hands shook as she turned the pages. Created, for emotional attachment bonding. Programmed for obedience. Hormonal enhancement cycle activated at maturity. Failure to attach will cause subject to experience identity collapse. Must be paired or decommissioned. Lyra dropped the file like it burned her. I wasn't even born, she said. I was built for love that isn't real. To belong. To someone. Anyone, just not to myself. Jack stepped forward. You're not that paper. Lyra backed away. Yes, I am. That's all I've ever been. You don't get it. I don't exist without someone telling me who I am. Her voice cracked, her legs gave out, and she collapsed to her knees. I'm not a person. I'm a product. Jack knelt beside her. No. You were a product. You're a person now. You've survived everything they did to you. You've made choices, real choices. You chose to eat. You chose to speak your name. And you're choosing to feel. Even now. Tears ran down her face. But it hurts? He gently placed a hand over hers. Healing always does. She looked at him for a long time, then slowly reached out and took the file again. This time she didn't cry. She tore it in half. Then again, and again, until only scraps remained. Jack smiled. That's more like it. She stood, wiping her face. We burn this place. Every part of it. No one else should ever wake up here. Jack nodded. Agreed. He set the charges while she watched the glass cube flicker and dim. The place where she was made would soon be nothing but ash. But even as the flames began to rise behind them, Lyra turned to Jack and asked softly, If I wasn't born, can I still be someone? Jack looked at her, not with pity, but with pride. You already are. High, above, on the edge of space, a dark figure watched the screen. She's found the lab, said a cold voice, and the human is helping her. Send the hunters. If she remembers the final room, we lose everything. But it was too late. Lyra remembered, and now she wasn't just running from her past. She was ready to destroy it. Lyra stood on the cliff's edge as morning broke over, the canyons, the wind tugging at her hair. The sun rose quietly like it didn't know a storm was coming. Jack finished packing their gear behind her, but he could feel something was wrong. Her back was stiff, her hands clenched. What is it? He asked. She didn't turn. They're close. Jack frowned. You felt them? No, she said softly. I remember them. She pointed toward the sky where 3 small dots moved in formation, silent, sharp, and black as knives. Houndships, she said. Not scouts. Hunters. Jack dropped the pack. Damn, they tracked us. Lyra finally turned, her silver, eyes steady. It's not just a bounty anymore. Jack's heart sank. Then what? She answered, calm and clear. The Empress gave the kill order. In the command chamber of the Empress's flagship, a transmission played. A dark hologram of Lyra, chains gone, standing proud beside the human, shone in the center. She has rejected her function, said one officer. She destroyed the lab and tore her designation file. The Empress didn't blink. Her voice cut like glass. She remembers what we erased. That makes her dangerous. Kill the human. Retrieve her body. If alive, break her again. If dead, she turned to her guards. Turn her into a warning. Back in the canyon, Jack. Scan the horizon. We can run through the cave system, lose them in the cliffs. Lyra didn't move. No more running. Jack stared at her. They'll kill you. I died the day they made me, she replied. This, what I have. Now it's more life than I've ever known. I'm not afraid to lose it, but I won't let them take it. Jack's voice dropped. Then what's the plan? She looked at the sky, fists clenched. I will speak. To the galaxy. I'll show them what I am. What they did to me. If they want silence, I'll give them truth. He nodded. We need a signal tower, power, a secure channel. There's one, Lyra said, eyes narrowing. The beacon outpost near the crater. I trained there once, before they finished programming me. Jack smirked. So we take it back, gave him a look. We won't be the only ones there. They reached the outpost by dusk, hiding beneath a camouflage net Jack had salvaged. The tower stood tall, rusted but active. Armed guards patrolled the edges. Drones buzzed overhead. Lyra crouched low beside Jack. If I go in alone, they may not shoot. I was once theirs. Jack shook his head. Not a chance. We go together. Lyra looked down. If I fail, promise me you won't be caught. If they get you... I'm not making that promise, Jack said flatly. You're not going in there without me. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded once. All right. Human. Then let's show them what their property can do. The entry was fast and brutal. Jack shot out the drone lights while Lyra disarmed two guards with moves no one had taught her. Moves her body remembered from before her programming was complete. Inside the tower, she moved like she belonged. Because once, she had, and now, she would take it back. They reached the control room, sealed the doors, and activated the beacon. Jack started the encryption. Lyra took the mic. Her voice, once quiet, now rang out across the system. My name was erased, my choices stolen. I was built to obey, shaped to please. But I remember now who I was, who I could have been, and I remember the man who looked at me and saw a soul, not a tool. I am not a product, I am not a secret, I am not yours anymore. I am free. The Empress watched the message stream across the outer colonies. Her face remained cold, but inside she knew. The lie was broken, and Lyra would not die quietly. The tower burned behind them. Smoke rose into the twilight sky as Lyra and Jack ran down the canyon path, every step echoing with the sounds of sirens and distant ships closing. And the message had been sent. Her voice was now a ripple across space, a spark in the dark. But sparks attract hunters. Lyra knew the Empress would not forgive a slave who dared speak like a queen. Jack glanced at her as they climbed over sharpie rocks. We're exposed out here. We won't outrun orbitals. We don't need to, Lyra said, eyes fixed ahead. We reach the clearing. I call them there. You want them to find us? She nodded. Yes. This ends where it began. I won't. Run again. The clearing sat between broken cliffs and the open sky, a perfect trap. Jack prepared cover behind large stone slabs. Lyra stood in the center, uncovered, unarmed, her long coat flapping in the wind. He shouted, At least take a weapon. She turned to him and smiled, soft, sad, and strong. I carried weapons before. I was still in chains. The first ship landed hard. Dust exploded in all directions. Out walked the elite. Black armor, silver visors, the Empress's finest tools. They circled Lyra slowly. One stepped forward and spoke in a cold, robotic voice. You have violated your bond. You are defective. Kneel. Lyra didn't flinch. She stood tall and replied, I am not defective. I was never yours. The soldier raised his weapon. Then you will be erased. Jack fired first. His shot hit. The soldier's chest in chaos exploded. The battle was uneven. Jack ducked behind cover, firing fast and sharp. Lyra moved like a shadow. She wasn't built to fight, but her body remembered pain. And now, it refused to feel it again. 2 soldiers fell, then 3, but more came. They surrounded them. Jack was pulled down, blaster kicked from his hand. One soldier grabbed Lyra by the throat and threw her to the ground. You are nothing, he hissed. She looked up, gasping, but not with fear, with rage. No, she said. I am free. With her last burst of strength, she ripped a power line from the wrecked ship nearby and jammed it into his chest. Sparks flew. He dropped. She fell beside him, breath shaking. Jack crawled to her, bleeding from a cut above his eye. You're hurt. She laughed weakly. So are you. They looked at the remaining soldiers, outnumbered, surrounded. But then, a low rumble, from above. Ships, not the Empress's, civilians, refugees, pirates, traitors, people who had heard her message, broadcast across systems. The broken ones, the forgotten ones. the ones just like her. And now they came. The Empress's soldiers turned to face the sky, but too late. The first wave struck. By sunrise, the clearing was quiet again. Jack sat beside the fire, wrapping a bandage around his arm. Lyra lay nearby, eyes half open, blinking at the light. "You did it," Jack said. "You brought them." She smiled faintly. "Not brought, called them." He nodded. "Same thing." She sat up slowly. "Do I still look like a slave?" Jack shook his head. "No. You look like someone who saved a galaxy." Later that day, the refugees built a small camp around the wreck. Lyra walked among them. Some touched her hands, others bowed, but she stopped them. "Don't kneel," she told them. "We all stand now." One child looked up at her and asked, "What's your name, miss?" Lyra paused and smiled. "Just Lyra," she said. "But this time, it's mine." Far away, in a dark throne room, the Empress watched the news feeds. Go quiet. "Do we chase her, Your Grace? Do we punish those who followed her?" The Empress stood and stared into the stars. "No," she said. "You don't kill a voice. You bury it." But even as she spoke, she knew. This voice wouldn't die. It had already become a fire.